Have you ever really stopped to think about what's going on in your head when you make a choice? We kind of picture this little CEO in our brain, calling the shots. But what if it's not like a command center at all? What if it's much more like a powerful, flowing river? Today, we're diving into a model that might just completely change how you think about your own decisions. So let's get right to it. What is actually happening up there when you're deciding between, say, coffee and tea, or making some massive life-changing choice? We tend to think of our brain as this super logical computer, just weighing the pros and cons. But you know what? That model is missing the most important piece of the puzzle. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at what the brain is really trying to do all day. And trust me, it's not what you think. Then we'll journey down the 4 parallel streams of our consciousness. We'll see how this incredible symphony of brainwaves keeps it all from turning into total chaos. And we'll pinpoint that exact moment a decision is actually born. And finally, we'll see how this whole idea explains everyday feelings like confusion and curiosity. All right, first up, the brain's balancing act. Look, that old idea of the brain as a computer was a decent start, but it misses the most fundamental thing about it. Your brain isn't just a data processor. Its main job, its #1 priority, is to constantly manage its own internal energy. And that brings us to this really core concept called neural strain. The best way to think about it is like an energy tension inside your mind. A new theory, the Brain Kinematics Model, suggests that pretty much everything your brain does is about minimizing the strain and finding balance. So here's the big idea. Every single thought, every feeling, every action you take, it's all your brain trying to find its equilibrium. Okay, so if the brain is always trying to balance its energy, how in the world does that create something like a thought? Well, this is where our big metaphor comes into play. I want you to imagine your consciousness as a massive river system with 4 distinct currents, all flowing in parallel, all at the same time. These are the 4 big streams that make up your consciousness. First, you've got the sensory motor stream. That's the one dealing with the physical world, timing, and execution. Then there's the emotional stream, which is all about assigning value, like this is good or this is urgent. The cognitive stream is your logic and reason department. And finally, the self-referential stream makes sure your choices actually feel like you. And the most important part? They are all flowing at once. Okay. But wait a second. If you have 4 powerful currents all flowing at the same time, why isn't our mind just a constant chaotic mess? The answer is, well, it's absolutely incredible. It has to do with the physical layers of our brain's cortex and the different brainwaves zipping through them. Think of your cortex as being layered, kind of like a cake. The top layers, the superficial ones, are buzzing with fast, high-frequency gamma waves, perfect for processing quick sensory details. The middle layers use these medium-speed waves for your logic and reasoning. And the deep layers? They use slow, powerful waves to guide the big stuff, like your emotions and sense of self. It's like each stream is flowing at a different depth in the river. This amazing interaction has a name, cross-frequency coupling. And the metaphor for it is just perfect. Imagine your quick, detailed thoughts are like these small, fast ripples on the surface of the water. Well, those ripples are literally riding on top of the slow, powerful tides of your deeper emotions and memories. The deep tides guide where the surface ripples go, creating this beautiful harmony instead of just chaos. So we've got these separate currents, all flowing at different depths. How do they actually come together to create one single decision? Well, this is the main event. This is the moment where all the different currents of the river finally converge. So a decision happens in 4 phases. It all starts with activation. Some kind of cue gets the streams flowing. Then comes integration, where they start to influence each other, trying to sync up. The magic happens in step 3, equilibrium. This is when the streams finally align, creating what's called a decision node, a moment where that neural strain just vanishes. And finally, execution and rebalancing. You take the action, the energy is released, and the system finds its balance again. I want you to let this sink in for a second. A decision isn't an order barked down from some CEO in your head. It's an emergent property of the whole system. It's that brief, powerful moment of absolute calm and clarity when all the competing currents of your thoughts and feelings finally align and flow in the exact same direction. Now, what's so fascinating is that this river model doesn't just explain the decision itself. It also gives us this beautiful way to understand the subtle feelings we have while we're thinking. The little eddies and whirlpools in our mental river. You know that feeling when you're wondering about something? According to this model, that feeling is what happens when your cognitive stream and your emotional stream are starting to line up. They're getting close, creating that sense of possibility, but they haven't quite clicked into a final decision yet. And what about feeling confused? Well, that's the complete opposite. It's pure mental turbulence. It's when your different thought streams are actively clashing with each other. They're competing, they're overlapping, and they are completely unable to find that calm point of equilibrium. It's a state of really high neural strain. But curiosity is the sweet spot. That's when the streams are flowing very close together. They're almost aligned, but not quite. This creates this energized tension, a kind of pleasant instability that just makes you want to close the gap. It's the very feeling that drives us to explore, to ask questions, and to learn new things. Okay, so let's bring this all home. When you start to see your brain not as a machine, but as this dynamic, flowing river, it offers this profound new way to look at your own inner world. The researchers who developed this model put it perfectly. They said, decision-making, emotion, and thought are thus unified under a single principle, the minimization and redistribution of neural strain energy. In other words, everything from your most cold, hard logic to your deepest gut feeling is all part of the same elegant dance, your brain just trying to balance its own energy. And that leaves us with one final, big thought to ponder. If your brain is a river and it's constantly seeking balance, what shapes its flow? What are the riverbanks of your own mind, the ones formed by your experiences, your beliefs, your habits, that are guiding where your decisions ultimately go?